Hello everybody, welcome to KTM press conference. My name is Manfred. I'm the head of PR and customer racing for KTM. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a very special time, so thanks for coming. And a very special welcome also to Stéphane Ratel, who's joining us. Thank you for that. It's a big pleasure for us to be here in Spa. It's a very special place. It's one of the most legendary GT races in the world, so I think it's a very good place to reveal our new car. The future is now, and it's a very revolutionary GT racing car. So we're absolutely convinced that this is the right place, and there is one person that is perfectly suited to talk about this new car, and this is Hans Reiter. Hans Reiter is the CEO of Reiter Engineering, and Hans, you've been in the lead developing the KTM X-BOW GT2 concept over the last 12 months. So very quick development, and could you tell us why is the future now and why is the car so revolutionary?
Well, it all started in summer 2018, and I left a meeting with the KTM board, with Mr. Pira, Mr. Trunkenbolz, Mr. Kiska, and we spoke about the new car, and I was quite frustrated. It was a really frustrating meeting for me. I arrived with all my ideas. For people who don't know me, I'm doing GT and touring cars since 30 years, and my company, Reiter Engineering, is producing and developing GT race cars since 20 years. So I went into this meeting with a lot of self-confidence, and I had drawings already in my briefcase with a car with a nice V8 B-turbo, optional a V10 normal aspirate engine, and also, I showed them already my first ideas about how we start with the street car. And within minutes, Mr. Pires, the CEO of KTM, said to me, Hans, the first thing you need to understand is you need to understand KTM. KTM is first of all a motorsport company, and by coincidence, or eventually, we are making bikes in production. But first of all, we are a motorsport company. Every bike we produce, we test on the race circuit first, and we build it only when it has proved on the circuit that it can withstand the loads of racing. And we will do this first thing. You will build a proof of concept car, and later we will discuss the future. So that was the first shock. And the second, when I opened my drawings with V8, that Mr. Peter said, Hans, how heavy is this drivetrain? I said, well, it's a V8, it's not too heavy, aluminium. It has 2 turbos, 2 water coolers, 2 intercoolers, 2 exhaust systems. It has a lot of torque, and therefore it will have a relatively heavy gearbox. So I said, look, this is also not KTM. KTM is about lightweight. First, KTM is lightweight and performance and purity. And we consider, or we would like you to consider the 5-cylinder. So I went back home, did some assembly drawings, and we came back because one thing I also wanted to change for the future, said, okay, we need some nice doors for our KTM where we cut the monocoque and have a very comfortable entry. Also, if you bring your lady with you, she can step in with even with high heels. It's all easy to access. And the first thing, the answer was, no, you don't touch my monocoque. And that, yeah, but Stéphane Pira said, Stéphane, you know, we need this for several. He said, no, you're not touching my monocoque. And I said, okay. I tried again, yes, but. I said, Hans, people are telling me that the KTM X-BOW monocoque is one of the safest street homologated monocoques on the planet. Would you agree? And I said, yes, I would agree, and I even think it is the safest, not even one of the safest. I said, and why do you want to change it now? So that was the end of this discussion, and I'm today more than happy to show you the result of this discussion, and I'm extremely proud that they changed my mind completely about how to build race cars of the future.
So, thanks to Stéphane Pira, this is the KTM X-BOW GT2 concept that we are looking at, and it's ready to race.
Yes, it's absolutely ready to race, and it's even ready to do 24 hours the way it is here. We will be able to show you around the car later once the presentation is finished. During the presentation, I would ask you to remain seated where you are, unfortunately.
So we thought we'd just go through what makes this car so special, and therefore we look at the first slide. First things first, and Hans already mentioned the safety standards thanks to the monocoque, but what did we do to make it even safer?
Well, obviously the monocoque is coming from Formula cars. It was developed quite some time ago from Dallara. And additionally, if you want to be a GT car, you need a GT roll cage. So we had to integrate a GT roll cage into a monocoque, which had to have the cross behind the drivers. Behind, you have all the bars which are defined in Appendix J of the FIA rules, door bars, even if there are no doors in that area. So you see that here. So what we did, we laminate the upper half of the monocoque, then we come with the roll cage, you see this in the middle pictures, through the monocoque, and then we weld the cross and the door bars from underneath, and once this is finished, we glue the second half of the monocoque, and so the result is, as the monocoque is double wall, you don't see any roll cage inside the car, but it's there. It's on your side, it's on your back, you have the cross. So additional to the high safety of a carbon monocoque, you have a full FIA homologated roll cage. This is supported by, you have now in the KTM seat, which we developed together with Ricardo, which can fulfill all the requirements of an advanced seat.
And this also gives us the chance to keep the weight low. So the original crossbow was all about lightweight, and this enables us to keep this philosophy also on this car. So it's without BOP ballast, it's just 1,048 kilograms, right?
Yes, exactly. And what you see here, some of you may know the old GT4 model which we had, where the whole canopy was made of plexiglass or macrolon. Now we have a structural frame because there's one rule in KTM that if you consider a street car, then for a rollover it has to take 3 times the load of the car. So this canopy is maybe the most difficult part of our whole project. I don't know how often we had to redevelop it. It can take more than 4 tons of load. Combined with the roll cage, we can take more than 10 tons of load. So if you drop it from the house upside down, it still must be intact. It mustn't be damaged. So that's where we stand now in terms of safety.
So coming from safety and the weight of the car to the next big thing is, as you mentioned already, the 5-cylinder engine from Audi. The next big thing is performance.
It's performance and future technologies or techniques. Not that we developed something which didn't exist in the past, but I think we are the first GT car to combine all these new features. We're starting with a fully electrical power steering, so we have, it's not hydroelectric, it's fully electric, it's programmable. You have 3 switch positions, soft, medium or hard, whatever you prefer as a driver. And obviously with a full electric, you have no oil, you have no oil pump, you have no oil, no leakage risk. That's something sounded quite attractive to us. We did then the next step on the shift system. Currently, the status quo is pneumatic shift systems. In LMP1, you could see in the past some companies doing electric shift systems. That's what we also adapted. We developed, this is a complete shift system. You have this arena stick on here. So inside is software and the whole electronics. You have electric motor. And the advantage compared to a pneumatic shift is that you can decide on the upshift, you always shift as fast as possible, but on the downshift, sometimes the RPMs are wrong and you do not want to select the next gear, otherwise the rear becomes a little bit nervous. And with this system, you pull out the gear, go into the weight between the two gears, and then select the next gear when the RPMs are right and the car is more stable under braking. What we, outside of the shifting system, the power steering, we developed our own steering wheel, which you have to see in reality. It's a display, I guess it's the only racing display which is fully street legal and is coming from the street. And one highlight we have is our camera monitor systems. You see them on both sides. We have no outside mirrors anymore. We have a camera monitor system which is perfectly street legal and has passed the German KBA certificates, and it just gives us such a wider view. Compared to a mirror, we see about 10 to 15 times more surface in the back with such a camera because you have a wide angle camera, and this allows you to see more. Yeah, that's it on the electronic and electric side.
To get back to the engine that I mentioned, you wouldn't want to talk about the engine. So it's an 5-cylinder Audi engine, and the thing about it is not only power but also efficiency together with a 120-liter fuel cell that we have. Yes,
I mean, obviously a smaller engine burns less fuel. This is common knowledge. When we received this engine, I can't tell you how happy we were. You take it apart, and it's purely racing inside. It's a street engine, and I never have seen before anything else where you have only race technique inside. You think it never was meant to be in a street car somehow. It's really high-tech racing engine. And for the GTX model, which is the entry-level model, we have 500 horsepower. Sorry, we have a bit over 500 horsepower with street. It's 2.5 liter street modification. We're running a different wastegate, but otherwise it's a totally street engine. And obviously for racing then we have to modify it because we're hoping to do GT2, and in GT2 you need to have 1250 kilograms instead of 1050. Obviously to compensate you need more power. So we are clearly over 600 horsepower now with this engine so far.
So, and what we also did is we've taken proven technology that was already used on the KTM X-BOW, on the original one, and we improved it even more, talking about pushrod suspension system, the wheel carriers and so on.
Yes. Well, first we see here the ABS. It's common to have ABS system in GT3 car. What is not common is the latest version of a Type 3 Conti ABS, which not only allows you with a 10 position switch to select between rein and grip levels, but it allows you to select between oversteer and understeer under braking. So if your car is really too oversteery, you change the ABS setting and you have more understeer as a driver. So you can influence the balance under braking with this system. A common actual ABS systems are measuring the speed of the wheel. When the wheel is blocked, they release it. This system measures the speed of the wheel, and once the speed just changes and the speed angle changes, it already predicts that the wheel will lock up and it reacts faster and earlier. So I think we are one of the first manufacturers to have this system. Back to the next page with suspension you just mentioned. What we have on the KTM, always had and have maintained, all our radiators are in the back. So we are guiding the air from the front to the back. There's nothing in front. And there we have aero profile wishbones, front and rear, just to have a better airflow towards the radiators. The uprights are obviously machined from full aluminum, and the whole adjustability is designed in a way, if you want to change the camber, you do not touch the toy. So actually the setting is quite different. I think it's coming from Formula cars, these solutions. So it's much easier to handle for our mechanics than it was in the past. What you see here is still some aero pictures. That was a main key. If you remember, or if some follow GT4 racing, we're always struggling with top speed. We have a very good car in the corners, but we're always struggling with top speed. So here we did, from the aero concept, we did exactly the opposite what we did on the GT4. Everything is drag efficiency. Yeah? Not necessarily downforce. We have quite some downforce, but more it's drag. We have a low frontal surface. If I compare it with our previous product, the Gallardo, this car had a frontal surface of 2.2 square meter. This car has 1.89, which at top speed, we only need 50 horsepower less to reach the same top speed than a Gallardo did with 600 horsepower. So, and on, I mean, we dropped this, we actually jumped that step in the beginning, Manfred. Obviously, you said it took us 1 year to develop the car, but it took us previously 1 year to develop the proof of concept car. So in 18 we started, we did a proof of concept car, and with this, which had a different body, but also technique underneath. And with this car, we went into a 24-hour race. We won it right away. That was our first race. We won the class, and from this, we got to go for this car, which you see here. And therefore, the whole aero is even a bit further advanced than the concept car.
So as you mentioned, 2 years, 1 year for the car that we see here now, and we are very proud to ask Stéphane Ratel to say some words for, to finish the press conference.
Thank you. I had to come to this presentation because Hans and I, and me, it's a long story. He's been really instrumental to help me in the development of GT racing over 20 years. He helped in the development of GT1 at the time where we needed it the most. We only had some old Porsches and Vipers, and we wanted to bring sexy cars onto the grids, and thanks to the ProDrive project with the 550 Maranello and the Reiter project with first the Diablo and then the Murcielago, we really was a big help to relaunch GT1. Then in 2009, when we wanted to do the GT1 World Championship, he made an evolution of the Murcielago into the RSV, absolutely amazing car, won a race here in the World Championship at Spa. And then came the time of GT3. And GT3, Hans is a founding member of GT3, of the people like with Toyn Ezemans, with Loris Kessel, who really believed at the beginning in GT3, which was only for private tuner, and he privately developed the Lamborghini Gallardo. And that didn't stop there, because in GT4, at the time of GT4, was a very small category. Thanks to his partnership with KTM, Hans came with the KTM GT4, which has been a very important car in the category, and still is, and still doing well. Won some races in America this year still. And so after GT1, after GT3, after GT4, I'm very pleased that Hans and KTM are following me with this new category with GT2, with the championship, and the details of it will be presented here in a couple of hours. Of course, it's another beautiful car. He understands the concept as much as GT3 is only a reserve for largely produced cars and large production manufacturer. GT4 and GT2, we still welcome smaller constructor. And I think the KTM will find its place onto the grid. Claude will have a lot of work to balance it, because I don't doubt of the performance, but I think we are quite experts in the balance of performance. I'm sure he will do the job, and I hope to see many of these cars next year on the grid. Thank you very much.
We thank you.
Thank you. And Stéphane, I only supported you when I believe in your product. And in GT2, I strongly believe. See, I guess this will be the future. That's why we are here.
Thanks, everybody. I guess we don't need to do questions on the podium. We are so few, so we can do that right afterwards. Thanks a lot for coming. Thank you.